and trucks or truck.
Yeah, so if you look, the original proposed was the 69,000. That was for 3 to 4 additional mowers. That was one of those conversations that we had. Talked to the department directors, advised that we weren't doing that, which is why it was dropped down to the 20,000. I believe there's one mower that will be coming this year that's already been discussed and approved by council, but it's this year. So this next year, the discussion was if we needed another mower, we may be able to do that, but we're not getting multiple. Same with the truck. So the truck, that one is a kind of a difficult. That was the one. Shane's been up and talked to you guys for a few times now. We ordered it, I don't know, 18 months ago or a year ago or something. We're still waiting on it. We're supposed to get it, but now they're talking this other one. They don't know when it's coming. So we haven't paid for it yet. That's why it's ordered, but not purchased yet. Not paid for yet. But the same thing. So it went from the 135.5 to the 113.
When that was approved, the truck, was it approved with the, I guess, the thought that it won't get paid until this proposed fiscal year?
That I don't know. I can't
I
answer
think it
that.
was 2024 for the second one.
For the second one.
Maybe I'm getting them crossed, but I was thinking that was the one that, hey, we have the money budgeted and it's there. We'll just have to push it out until when it comes in. But, you know, there was a lot of talk on that through the course of the last 6-8 months.
Well, and it's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
Exactly, so you don't know when it was, you know, when was it allocated and when is it gonna come due?
I think it was allocated at one point, I know, in a prior. But because it wasn't in at that point in time, I'm not so sure they probably didn't use some of that to buy mowers because they still had budget money. And then it got allocated the next year. Cause we're what, 2 years now, almost 2.5 from when that thing was ordered. So.
That may be a thing that we need to keep a little better eye on as elected people, not as so much as Penny and Jeremiah. But they seem to be up on this pretty good though.
So the other one was the same. I understand it's a different department, but on page P2, we have a pickup and a mower and a trailer again. And I understand what's going on, but I mean, if we're gonna spend $40,000 a year on mowers plus pay our help to do it, maybe we need to hire it. Because that's not, we already bought how many mowers last year?
Yeah. And again, that was part of our discussions. I can tell you, we were quoted out for external mowing. We estimated it cost us around $30,000 a year to do it. The quotes we received were upwards of $100,000 a year to mow. 2 of them refused to provide quotes because they said didn't want to come to here. They didn't want to haul their equipment from site to site, so they wouldn't even provide a quote. I can tell you most cities do not contract it out. They do it themselves, but they use personnel that it makes sense to use to do that. So we have had a discussion internally. That's going to be given back to the Lawrence Center, the Parks and Recs. We're going to use seasonal staff to accomplish that. I think we can shave some cost in that regard.
That makes better sense. I mean,
Yeah. They did have some leftover funds from the insurance that was originally allocated. Again, we're crossing over fiscal years here, which is causing some issues, but they originally had some funds that were allocated to a different piece of machinery that they did not get. So you will have on Monday night approval for a lawn tractor, a multi-function, multi-purpose lawn tractor. It kind of went along the lines of that, where if they're gonna be doing these operations again, it made sense that they get this equipment, but yeah, that was basically we rehashed the mowing assignments. Cemetery and right of ways will still fall on streets department, but the majority of the mowing will be handled by other employees.
And then, how about pickup, we have 55,000, we're already way over budget, can that not wait another year?
Possibly, yeah, this is the other thing that happens with these enterprise funds is essentially they, I don't want to say it's a free pass, but these don't come, they make their money. These don't come from taxpayer dollars. So they have the money available generally. It's been stated to me that they do need a new truck. We're gonna start implementing a rotation throughout the city as well, so hopefully other departments can get better vehicles before we've driven them with the wheels falling off. So for example, streets, water, wastewater will be recycling their vehicles to Lawrence Center. My hope is to do the same with the police department, possibly for City Hall, just to have a vehicle for us to use and go into training in other places. So again, they've indicated they do need that pickup, and the enterprise funds are there to purchase it, but I certainly understand what you mean. That's
At the bottom line, they're not there,
no,
so.
and they haven't been, for a long time. So,
Which department were we just talking about?
that was water, wastewater.
Wastewater.
Most of the trucks used to see, but look pretty good, yeah.
Until you see the Lawrence Center trucks,
Yes,
and then that doesn't.
they've got one 30 years old.
Hey, do you have any questions on the budget?
No,
Teresa? Brooke, you have any additional?
No, I think that's it.
Jeff?
Just one thought. We've got investments. Are there any of those that we could use to kind of buffer the pain a little bit or
So that is, our investments are our reserves. So that encompasses the 15 million.
Okay.
And that's what we've been doing. And that was kind of the discussion this week, with department directors was, as we go back through and we look, we're looking at a $5 million deficit for this year. We were at 3.4 million last year, 1.9 million the prior year. We're paying for that out of those investments.
Okay.
So that's exactly where it's coming from.
Well, if we continue that trend, our bond rating is gonna go through the
yeah,
floor.
it is.
Yeah,
So we gotta stop this at some point because it's gonna really come back to bite us.
yeah.
Hopefully these changes will kind of solve that problem over time.
Would we have enough equipment? Do we have, well, let me put it this way, do we have any equipment that we've got enough of that's duplicated? That different departments can share it? And we would not have to duplicate in other departments?
Well, let me answer that two-part, because I think first of all, I would need to really do an assessment to see for sure. But yeah, I think we probably could in some cases. I think we need to be very we need to be scrutinized and be careful how we do it, because that's what we ran into recently was we do have some duplicate equipment, but if we cannot effectively share those during work hours, it's not duplicate. It
Well,
causes
and I get that.
problems operational. So I think some of it we definitely can. When it makes sense to duplicate or not to duplicate, I don't think we should duplicate. I don't think we should just go across the board though and say,
Right.
We have lots of this equipment, so why do we need?
And I get that, but if it is feasible to share,
Yes,
I think we need to make every effort to share.
yes,
It is not owned by any one department. It is owned by the city of Anamosa.
I agree.
And that may just require more hands-on scheduling and management.
Yeah, I think it can be accomplished.
Yes.
I mean, and I'm asking because I don't know, what does wastewater have to mow that they need a mower and a trailer? I'm just asking.
Yeah, so they do have some of their well sites that they mow. In terms of the entire mowing assignment, not a lot. Generally what happens though, so the other thing we run into is mowers being hauled around. Up north, their new well, the wastewater or the water plant up there, wastewater down here. They would have to haul a mower from one place to the other to mow, so I can see the need for a mower that gets those few jobs done. But again, that was our discussion this week of how much is too much?
Right.
At some point,
would
we
the-
gotta trim the
Would that
fat.
be a place to like trial contracting out? You know, if they don't have a lot of mowing and it's here and there, that might be something we could,
So you're saying break up the,
well, like if we were to try to contract it out, like with someone like them that doesn't have a lot of mowing, that we could potentially eliminate a mower and maintenance and,
Or have the seasonal do it,
yeah.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, because
because they've already got the mower.
right, if you got what water and wastewater, are they doing it together now? Because
essentially, yeah.
so you've got all of the lift stations. You've got the water tower on the east end. Which I don't know how much of that they mow and how much of that they rent out for somebody to bale hay, or they used to. I don't know if they still do or not.
I haven't heard of them doing it, but
So I don't know what they do with that big field back there. But they've got, that they've got to get to, which is not easy to just drive a mower to.
Well, if you had part-time help that could, I don't know, after the peak hours of water and wastewater, if they came in, it was a kid or a retired person coming in at 2 or 3 o'clock when they're done with their mowers and then just, run them a little later shift
yeah,
or Saturday or whatever, because that doesn't have to be mowed during the week.
no.
If they want to mow it on a Saturday, then
But that is a good point, and I should probably bring that up, because just as an example, we were sharing mowers, several mowers previously. Once it's fine until they're housed, for example, in the water treatment plant, which is locked with a code and only certain personnel are in there.
yeah.
However, Parks and Rec, they do not mow typically during those hours, and they're here until 8 o'clock at night. So it works much better for their staff, even part-time or seasonal staff, to mow 8 o'clock on a Thursday or Friday night, then they can't get to that mower. So not that I disagree with the sentiment tonight. I'm just, that to Rich's point, that's where we gotta be careful of. We don't, even if we need a duplicate mower for those types of reasons, that's why. We don't need 12 duplicate mowers. for that reason.
How often is every truck in the street department, the big dumps used at the same time on the same day? How often does that happen?
The winter operations, I would imagine not.
Not very
Frequently.
often. I think I talked to you about this once, but I'm just bringing it up to everybody else. One of the things I was thinking is this, we've got one dump truck that we're supposedly gonna buy next year. And it could be the year after, the way things are going, but the Sterling that we've got, I know he wants to get rid of it really bad, but from what I understand, he said, and I hear him saying this, they replaced hydraulic lines, they repaired brakes, they rewired the truck. There's not much else they need to fix. They replaced the motor. What's wrong with it just staying there and being a backup, and we don't buy that other truck for now? It's going to be the last truck they're going to pull out of there anyway. It's going to sit there 90% of the time. Well, they've got 6 trucks? Is it 6? Last time I went down there. And they're all pretty much the same brand and look fairly new. I know some of them are older. That Sterling is an old truck, but if it goes forward and backwards and gets from point A to point B, we could save some money not buying that next truck for a while.
Not a terrible idea. I mean, I know one of the older trucks that they thought what they were gonna get rid of, I think maybe wastewater bought a different truck and it was like an old F-150, but the streets use it as a, I mean, I see them using it, it's just that old, kind of a little bit rusty, but it gets the job done for what they use it for, and
It's
it's
just
not worth much.
Well, as far as dump trucks go, though, I don't know why we don't go back to Dyersville and talk to them about any of their used trucks.
Well, we got a huge argument from Sean about that.
I know, but
But we've got, we're the
It's-
ones that make the decisions.
I know he wants new, so he's not buying somebody else's headache, but. You know, for saving 70,000 or plus, I think we can have a few headaches once in a while.
Right, my dump truck, my tandem, which is a lot bigger than what city even has, is a 1980. Passes DOT inspection every year and I go get in it right now and take off and it's legal. It's 1980.
Yeah.
There's no reason. That's what just blows my mind that we have to have all this new. And it's. Doesn't make a penny more. 20,000 for a mower fixes a lot of stuff.
That's why I think it wouldn't hurt to leave that Sterling set there for a while. It still looks good. Anyway,
And the only other thing I thought of is, there was discussion that like the LCC had a number of repairs or improvements and possibly using the CD money. I mean, is that kind of, the bottom line is figured into that in reserves, and if we wanted to make those improvements, it would, even though it's our funds, we still have to do an amendment to have those expenses?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yes,
so at this point in time, it's not figured in, but not to say we couldn't.
right.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, the purpose of that budget amendment, no different than any other year. That's what it's there for. And we have been doing it every year, so it doesn't prevent us from doing it this year. Either for or against. I mean, spending more or spending less.
I just. This new equipment thing just bugs me because we're upside down. Everybody sees this new equipment coming down the street and they're just like shaking their heads. What are you guys doing? Every day. What are you guys doing? Another new truck.
As
You go to Marion and you don't see that. You see. Ragged trucks and new ones, but several ragged.
I agree. Just like to the average citizen, they see their taxes going up and probably gonna be going up more, and then they see
It's-
city
yeah.
driving a flashy truck.
Yeah.
It just doesn't sit well.
and to Brooks' point, that Sterling still runs. I don't understand why we have to replace it right now. If we're not using all those trucks all the time. I'm guessing that Sterling doesn't leave that building. Except a few times in the winter time because they're all in snow or something. That's the only thing I can see. So it sets in there. If they don't like the looks of it, don't drive it. I'm pretty sure over this year, we'll be able to find things that we can improve. We'll think of them. We know what we gotta do.
Well, there was, this is along the line of the comments that I was looking to make. Especially after listening, seeing, here this evening. I asked the council to keep in mind that the money is placed in this budget for items. Any expenditures that exceed $5,000 is my understanding. Needs approval by the city administrator before that can actually be ordered or purchased. At some point, there needs, I would think there'd be a dollar amount that in Jeremiah's case, he's like, well, I'm not comfortable. You know, that's not just over 5,000, that's a long way over. Council will need to have that approval. And that's where we need to take into consideration at that point, even though the money's budgeted. Is that expenditure necessary? Wants and needs are two different things. And it's going along the line as most everyone is speaking up to. I just want you to be cognizant of that as we move forward.
Is it 5,000 or 25?
2,500, I think.
I think it's
Maybe it is.
2,500.
Yeah,
Well, there's been a lot of stuff that's come through for well over that
Right, but,
in our bills that have never been.
well, it's for equipment. That was the ordinance, I
And like
believe.
Chemicals and.
Chemicals and daily operational stuff does not fall into that
we
category.
just gotta
Sure,
keep,
but we got that container and then we got it wired and I don't know, did we even vote? Did we know anything about that?
Container.
They bought a shipping container from Dyersville or somewhere, Manchester, Dyersville. Moved it down to the city shop and then had it set there to make storage or whatever and had it wired and
Yeah, I don't know about
it
the
was
wiring,
70 some $100 plus the wiring.
but I remember somebody's talking about purchasing a shipping container.
I didn't know anything about it.
We approved it, we approved paying the bills. And the reason that one
Right.
sticks out in my head is because we also rent those containers and purchase them for job sites and we paid 2,000, maybe 3,000 more dollars than what they cost us in Cedar Rapids. So
Yeah,
that
I don't,
sticks out in my head.
I remember the discussion about a shipping container, but I don't know that, I don't remember approving it or anything. I just,
I have no
But-
idea. I just know it's down by the.
we're just gonna have to keep in mind that the wants are on that side of the table. And the need is gonna be on this side of the table.
That's like,
yeah,
we need to take all that into consideration.
And then Jeremiah, I don't know if you know or have an answer to this. Do we have an inventory of what equipment we actually have? I mean, how many mowers do we have? I don't know that anybody knows the answer to that.
There was a decent
So-
inventory that we saw at some point. It wasn't all inclusive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that, well, as Department Director of the Police Department, I had provided one last year, but we only have our squad vehicles, with the, how many and mileage. At that time, I had thought that there was a comprehensive one done, but I wasn't involved in that, so I'm not exactly sure.
Never saw.
I've asked a couple of times.
well, there was one emailed
Provided
out.
This year,
Yeah, there was one that was sent out.
I don't know
Can't
how
remember.
complete it was.
I have a feeling it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There might be 7 extra mowers in the boneyard behind the LCC that we don't even have accounted for. I don't know.
right. I do understand what you're saying, though. We've had this discussion in the past, and I agree that it's something that should be updated periodically, without council's request. It should just be part of a good inventory management system.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Mileage and hours and
years.
year make and model,
not
date
only
of
that,
acquisition.
but for insurance purposes, we ought to have an inventory of what we've got.
He may
Yeah.
be insurance stuff we no longer have.
Right.
Yeah,
A lot of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it has to
I
be,
hope not the other way that.
I
we're
think
not
we're-
insuring something that we have.
it,
And it
it
would
could
have
go
to be
both
updated.
ways.
it'd have to be updated, if something gets sold or junked or whatever, it gets taken off the list
could
right
be-
away. If something gets bought, it gets put on the list right away. So it's always up to date instead of just doing it periodically.
It'd be quite a project, but it'd be nice to have a good handle on it. I'd almost thought at one point, if we could. Well, some cities, if we was even like a summer intern position, that could be a project, or they just use them whatever department.
It's
Could use
only
them
a large
for-
undertaking the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Well, let me
Once it's
ask,
done.
does our new accounting package have an equipment inventory package in it?
well, yeah, I don't know.
Why don't you take a look at that to see, and if we do, that would be a good place to manage it from.
All right, well, I don't wanna rush, but I don't wanna just sit
Anybody
here
have the
and
pull?
go around in a circle. There's nothing further. I am moving to 3.0 adjournment, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Very good discussion.
That's-
all right.